Hello, you beautiful, beautiful people. I'm thoroughly convinced that I again put the live date wrong. Hi, Armin. Hi, Vilma. Hi, Jason. Hi, Truth Teller. Hi, James. James B. Hi, Joe. Hi, everyone. So good to see you. Hi, Derek. Hi, Debbie. Hi, Brian. Hi, Martin. Hi, Maria. Hi, Odin. Hi, Archer. Why do I sometimes call you Archer and sometimes Elvin? I don't know. Hi, Juju. Hi, Chad. Good to see you guys. Let me switch one thing over here. So my mom is here. She's obviously asleep, or at least like in bed trying to sleep. She was having a hard time sleeping, I think, because she doesn't necessarily like not sleeping in her own bed, which I totally understand. Hi, Colette. Hi, Carlos. Hi, Morgana Cat. Hi, James. Hi, Jim. I am probably going to be a little quieter today, at least try. Hi, Iris, because again, there is a sleeping mother in my in my room, and it's a terrifying ordeal. So we got an after hours donation, and I'm going to add it up to our total, which now comes up to $752.68, so $752.68, because Adam S donated $100. If Ukraine doesn't get behind Joe Biden, what? Hey, from the design room, working on a remote delivery system here. That's really cool. Hi, Animal. So I'm gonna do like a quick little story time today, because I think this is like so bad and so hilarious at the same time. And for the first time, it is not me who is like in stupid trouble because, I don't know, they didn't look at the tickets or something like that. Cindy is doing far better. Cindy is playing with my mom's dog. They already had a couple of fights today because, like my mom's dog was chewing on this like yak stick, which is like this thing they both really like. It's like kind of dog cheese, but it's hard. Anyways, it's like a whole thing. And so my mom's dog was found this like chew thing in Cindy's like toy graveyard and started chewing on it. So then Cindy stole it back, and then he was trying to take it while she wasn't looking, and then she was literally like so she like barked at him. But so quick story time. You all know my aunt Anastasia. So she booked a vacation in Greece with her childhood best friend. The childhood best friend has a husband. The husband is at the front. We helped him get a drone a little while ago. If you scroll far down or further down, you will find his smiling face with a drone. It was like a drone and a laptop, like a bunch of shit. So basically they also have a son. So the vacation was booked for Anastasia, her childhood friend, and the son, who's 13. The vacation was booked for, they were supposed to leave Ukraine this Monday, and their flight out of Warsaw to Athens was on Tuesday, or is on Tuesday. So today, Anya, the best friend, finds out, because she decided to check, that her kid's passport is expired. So he can't leave the country because his passport is expired. Anastasia today quit her job as a professor because I guess she had some sort of like big disagreements with the leadership, and she decided that she doesn't want to tolerate it anymore. But she's really sad because she loves teaching. She was a professor of motion picture animation at like a really prestigious art school in Lviv. So she quit that. She was super sad about it. Also, the lights just turned on, so yay to that. I can turn, oh, let me turn on the AC 1 second because I'm boiling. I have a fan over here, but I'm boiling. So let me just quickly switch from my EcoFlow to an actual outlet, and let me also quickly turn on the AC because I really want the AC. Okay, 1 second. Okay, so EcoFlow, turn on. I guess it's not going to turn anything on otherwise. Turn anything off otherwise. Oh gosh, okay, let me plug you in to the outlet. Oh, the AC turned on automatically. Okay, the AC turned on automatically somehow. I don't know how, but it did. Okay, so okay, I am not going to shit on DTEK because they are doing their best. DTEK is the energy provider in Ukraine. So where was I? Oh yeah. Oh, also, my mom and her dog came here. Her dog is a boy. He's not spayed, and he has a fuck bear. And that is exactly what you think it is. Like, whatever you think a fuck bear is for a boy dog that's not sterilized, that is exactly what it is. And normally, when he's at home, he takes his little bear and goes into, like, somewhere far where no one sees him to do what he needs to do. In my apartment, he for some reason decided that the best place to, be intimate with his little fuck bear is my couch. And so I had to get him off the couch with the fuck bear like a million times today. I hope he finally got it. Anyways, just, too much. The bear is right there on the doggy bed, right next to me, Anyways. So Anastasia's friend today found out that her kid's passport is expired. So I called my dad, who called his friend, who called a friend, and they basically figured out through connections that they can get a passport made by Wednesday. But their flight is on Tuesday. And to change the flight, it's €500, which obviously Anastasia is not paying. So she can rebook the hotel for later, but the flight is the problem. Now, I've wiggled my way out of paying flight change fees many times by, you just gotta find the right representative, and you gotta be very stressed, not rude, not crazy, not intense, but very stressed, done with life, and just sympathetic. Okay, you gotta be very sympathetic to these people. Not to these people, but as in, you gotta seem very sympathetic to whoever you're on the phone with. So tomorrow morning, I'm going to be at 9 a.m. I'm going to be calling the airline, pretending to be Anastasia, and trying to get her either a cheaper, rebooking fee, or trying to get her flight rebooked for free, because otherwise they're going to miss all the money that they paid for the trip. And I'm pretty sure that Anastasia is the one who paid for the whole trip for both her friend and the friend's son, because they all had a very rough year, and it's her childhood friend. And now that the friend's husband is at the front, not working in IT, they're having quite a bit of a hard time. So, Anastasia is going to miss out on quite a bit of money if she doesn't go to Greece. So I am going to do my absolute best that I can to be incredibly worth sympathizing with and empathizing with. How are they going to tell if it's Anastasia and not you? They're not going to be able to tell that it's not her. I just need to know her. I just need to know her, I just need to know her information. Babysit while they're in Greece. Absolutely the F not. I'm sorry. I cannot stand children. He's 13. So that's pubescent or like prepubescent boy, no thanks. I do not want to have anything to do with 13-year-old boys. I am not like, I used to work as a babysitter in college, and kids absolutely love me. I like, you can pay me to look after your child, and your child is going to love me because I treat them like adults. Because I have no patience for all the like baby talk and whatever. But I literally, like, unless I'm paid decently to do this, there is zero chance on earth that I am looking after a 13-year-old kid for a week and a half. No. And like, I love Anastasia. I love her. Also, like, they're not going to go without the kid because Anya is just not going to do it. I mean, he's going to be very sad because, you know, he was like excited about this trip. So it's not like, you know, they can be like, hey, we screwed up and didn't see that your passport expired. So you're staying home and we're going to go on a vacay. That's a way to make a kid feel like shit. But like, no, I'm not dealing with kids, even if that wasn't the case. Sorry. I mean, you can find, I don't know, his grandma. Why can't his grandma do it in that case? Why would I have to do it? I literally not. No. Sorry. I have, I have a dog. That's enough child to deal with. Okay. 13-year-old will need another feck pair and 200 socks a week in the washing machine. Gross. Also, I live in a 1-bedroom apartment, and again, like, I'm not equipped to babysit a 13-year-old boy or literally any type of like, like, again, I got paid for it in college and I was doing it on the kids' territory. I am not bringing children to my apartment. First of all, I have all of these like little, little things on shelves and stuff like that. And it's just like, no, like, there are no children that are going to be in my space. I don't like kids. I have like nothing against them. I just don't necessarily want them anywhere in my vicinity, especially teenagers. Teenagers suck. They're so bad. Oh my God. They're like the worst kind of children. I mean, because they're going through this phase where like they think that they know everything and they think they're so cool, especially like the ones who are going through puberty. Like, oh my God. Oh my freaking God. Yes, kids have cooties, says Alvin Archer. And I agree with you. They do. Like, ticks, cooties, like bed bugs, whatever it is. That is kind of like, I think I would rather like, I don't know. No, I'm not going to say that because I don't want to have bed bugs. But like, bed bugs seem like a better choice for me than children do. My 13-year-old child is in the car, Yulia. Okay, she's nice. But also, like, here is the thing. She's like a nice, cute little blonde girl, okay? She's a cheerleader. She seems to be like a joy that doesn't do things wrong very often. And also, like, here is the thing. She's like, how many thousands of miles away from me? Exactly. It's not like I have to babysit her. And I'm sure that if I did, it would be like, buying lipstick and like going shopping, not like freaking, trying to like talk to a 13-year-old boy kid about video games while he sleeps on my couch. Weird. Okay? Weird. Also, like, I think in terms of teenagers, like teenage girls, I don't mind. Okay? Like, I think teenage girls I'm fine with, actually. So that's a good point. Because, like, makeup, they're interested in, like, makeup, boys, clothes, like, I don't know, things like that. Like, I can reason with that. I can do that. Okay? I am interested in makeup and clothes and, like, and all that stuff. Like, I can do your hair, I can do your makeup, like, I can help you shop. Like, we can do all these fun things together, okay? What am I going to do with a boy? Didi here says, I don't know why I keep clicking in your live streams that are titled Relating to the War when you just ramble on about personal stuff. As I've said on every live, because I actually like the people that show up in these streams. I'm not a robot who just, rambles on about things and doesn't interact with people. A lot of us have been here for a while, and for the first 15 to 20 minutes of the live, we normally just talk about random freaking things. And then we go in to the news. I don't know if you start conversations with people you consider friends or, like, I don't know, people you like by just straight going into a topic and completely dismissing, I don't know, everything that's going on, and you don't do like small chat. That's very sad. But if you don't like it, like, you don't have to watch it. You can come back in, like, I don't know, 5 to 10 minutes. And, I'm a human being, and I talk about stuff that isn't related to the war sometimes, because I live in it and I have to deal with the war every day. Jules Wynn, then why not name your chat accordingly? Random chat with a sprinkling of war news, because for the next hour, it's going to be war news. And for the first 15 to 20 minutes, it's just a random chat, which is normal, while you're also waiting for people to show up, because then people come in and start asking questions that do pertain about the war that I covered 20 minutes earlier. So the first 15 to 20 minutes is a chat, and then the next hour is news. So I don't know if it's reasonable to call the live random chat if literally 80% of it is news, even 85, and 15 is random chit chat. So, like, then why not, I don't know, just leave? Like, here's the thing. I never understand people that just write like negative garbage shit in people's comments. Like, you have time for that. And I feel sad for that. Because when I don't like something and I don't like watching someone, or someone like annoys me, or I don't know, like I see someone on TikTok and I'm like, God, I like really don't like watching this person. You know what I do? I click not interested. If I keep seeing them and they annoy me, I block them. If I don't like what they're doing, I just don't watch them. Like, what's the fucking point of you coming in here and being like rude to me and just saying like, like I came here for this and you were just doing that? Like, okay, unfollow me and leave. Why literally, like, why be mean to me and, like, get yourself into the spotlight for this time that I'm literally talking about how garbage of a person you are, instead of just fucking leaving? Like, normalize being like, oh, I don't like this. Instead of writing a hateful, mean, dumbass comment, I am going to just close it, leave, and not come back. Like, also, here is a fun fact. If you wanted people who act like robots and tell you straight news without any like personality or anything like that, you can watch CNN. You can watch MSNBC. You can watch any major network on TV. Here's the thing about YouTube, and here's the thing about like TikTok and Instagram. We are real people, and I'm not paid to do this by any means. Like, I'm only paid maybe, like, I don't know, $20 for all the cumulative views a month from all the videos I post and make. On TikTok, I barely make any income at this point. So I do this because I want to do this, right? So it's like, I don't have a program. Okay? If you want someone who's paid to do something, to like just strictly be on one topic, again, there are news networks where people are anchors. Like, there's that, Would never know she's Ukrainian if I were to meet her in the US. I know. No one usually can tell. Actually, it's interesting because so John sent me a video the other day of like a Ukrainian of a Ukrainian person explaining how they felt. How they felt. Also, Frederick will talk about it. How they felt in the US as like a refugee, right? Where, like, people, or not just in the US, like in the West, it's like there are lots of people who are very not well wishing, who just say that Ukrainians come and sit on welfare, which is not true. Most Ukrainians actually statistically find jobs and stuff like that. But, anyways, like if I felt discriminated against because of like being Ukrainian, if I was like imposed stereotypes upon because of being Ukrainian. So here's the thing. When I lived in the US for 13 years, until like 4 months ago, I never really experienced your typical immigrant stereotypes or your typical Ukrainian stereotypes, because most people didn't know I'm Ukrainian until I tell them. And for the longest time, I actually tried passing. And because like anytime I would say I'm Ukrainian, right, after I would, that's when people would be like, oh, did you find a rich husband yet? They would impose Russian stereotypes on me. But up until 2014, like no one really knew what Ukraine was. And even after 2014, not that many people knew. So they would just be like, kind of like, what? Like Ukraine? And just be like, Russia maybe? But like most people didn't necessarily like know. And in the situations in which I wasn't like trying to be friends with people and it was just like small talk and I knew I would never see them again, I would just like never go into the conversation of where I'm from. People freaking thought I'm from Ohio most of the time. So I would just go with it because I did not want the stupid jokes and the stupid comments and stuff like that. In terms of being an immigrant, people mostly actually didn't stereotype me, nor did they treat me like an immigrant. So people would actually dismiss my problems and dismiss my struggles and dismiss things that were happening to me because they thought that like I am this, like prime type of immigrant. And I like genuinely mean it, right? Like a friend of mine at some point at like a college party or something, we were like, I don't know, like pre-gaming or something like that. And we were talking about immigration and I was like, yeah, oh my gosh, I have so many like problems, like I can't get this process for the green card started. And it's like, it's such a hassle and it's such a big like thing. And there is this and that and that. And he goes like, why don't you just get a citizenship? Because he thought that because I'm white, because I speak English, basically natively, because I'm palatable, and because I'm educated in the US, I can't possibly be going through the same problems as your average immigrant or your average stereotype of an immigrant, right? When I would be talking about issues I'm facing, people would be looking at me and be like, or people would be talking about issues that immigrants are facing in America, like in my classes for sociology or for something like that, right? Or just generally among like my circle of friends who weren't like super close to me. I would be like, yeah, that's kind of how I feel. And they're like, yeah, no, but like, I mean, like, not like you. I mean, like actual immigrants. And I don't know what the fuck that meant, because I am an actual immigrant whose parents live in Ukraine. I studied in the US and then I had a 9-year green card process that was absolute hell. I got my green card last summer in July. I've been in the US for 13 years. Okay? Like, I mean, it was so like crazy to me when people said actual immigrants. And when I would be complaining about things, they would be like, yeah, but I mean, like, like you don't have those problems. It's not like you get what it's like to be an immigrant. And I'm like, not only do I get what it's like to be an immigrant, I am a fucking immigrant. Like, what do you mean? Like, I'm on a visa. Yeah. So, it was like a reverse, right? Like it was kind of like a reversed situation where people would be dismissing me because I don't seem like your typical stereotype of an immigrant. People would be telling me to just go get a passport or just go get a citizenship or something like that. And it's like, yeah, because I can just walk into the DMV and be like, hey, so my name's Yulia. And like, obviously, when you look at me, like you can tell I'm just prime America material, right, babes? It's like I wasn't born here, but like I should have been. And I just like want like a tiny little book. It's like blue and it says United States of America on it. And it's like a great book because it gives you access to so many countries. Anyways, you know what I'm talking about. Can I just get that passport, please? And like hurry up because like I really want to go to Costa Rica. And oh my gosh, Mexico. Cancun this time of year is like amazing. Have you heard? So anyways, yeah, no, that's not how it works. But that's what that's what people assumed likely it would work like. So yeah, I didn't necessarily face the same hurdles or struggles as like I guess Ukrainian immigrants normally do because I was passing for like no one ever, like very rarely did people think to themselves, oh, I'm going to ask this girl where she's from and mean like a country. Like if I were, I don't know, on a date or something and the person would be like, oh, where are you from? And I'd be like, oh, I'm from Ukraine. And they'd be like, oh, you mean like your parents or something? Or like, oh, you're like, Ukrainian American, or like, I don't know, your grandparents or something down the line were Ukrainian. And I'm like, no. I mean, like, I literally moved here from Ukraine a couple of years ago. And they were like, and they would be like, oh, I thought you were from Ohio. They like didn't expect me to say a different country because they thought I would say, I don't know, like Indiana or something. So yeah. Have you ever been to Boston? Of course I've been to Boston. It's a 4-hour drive, my friend. But yeah, do you have to go to the US to keep your green card? Yes, I am actually planning on going in September because, yeah, I do. And also, I mean, like I have to go for like other reasons. I mean, hey, like, US has been my home for like 13 years. I clearly have a lot of stuff that I do, can't just like drop out of my life there and just never come back or not come back for years. But yeah, anyways, also like I really want to go to a store like a Sephora and just get like a bunch of skincare and like I know this is such a first world thing, but like we don't have stores with makeup that I use here. There are tons of stores and they have great makeup. There is so much Korean skincare here, like oh my god, and it's not expensive like at all. I like Korean skincare heaven here, okay? If you know, you know. But like a lot of the brands that I used in the US are not available here. And in order to get them, I have to like order them from these third-party sites that basically buy them out in Europe and the US and bring them here. So it's like 15 million packages that come to me anywhere between like 2 weeks and a month and a half. And I'm just so over it. So I really just like want to walk into like a dumbass store, like, I don't know, like a Sephora or Credo and just be like, I need a face wash, an eyeliner, and like, I don't know, a lip gloss, and I can get it in one place today. Okay. I don't have to go to 55 websites and wait for them from 2 weeks to a month and a half. And then I also want to walk into like a Walgreens and be like, oh, wow, I can just get an extension cord at Dwayne Reed or Walgreens instead of having to go to Home Depot, because here you can either buy it online or you have to go to Epicenter, which is a Home Depot. So, and they're never anywhere central. I don't have a car. So that means that I have to get into like a 35-minute taxi ride to go to a fucking Home Depot for a simple extension cord. So, there is that. And shipping here is very fast. Things normally, like if you ordered them in the morning, they will be there either tomorrow or the day after, which is kind of like Amazon, but for any store if they ship with Nova Posta, because it's just fantastic. But that's not the point though, because like it's great that stuff gets here fast. But it's like sometimes you just want to walk into a store, and I mean walk in, not have to taxi there. I mean like just on your freaking walk, be like, oh, I need a concealer or something, or like, oh, I need an extension cord, or like, oh, I need, I don't know, some random fucking thing that you normally would find in any store in the US in like, within like either like a 5-minute drive if you were in the Midwest or the South or like LA, or within like a 5 to 10 minute walk. Here, you have to go to Home Depot. Okay. And also, epicenter is like Home Depot on steroids. It's like anything you might imagine you might need, you will find there. Like you need Joseph kitchen stuff, epicenter. You need a bed, epicenter. You need to do a complete renovation of your apartment and change all the tiles and flooring, epicenter. You need to get your pet bed, epicenter. You need to get your hair care stuff, epicenter. Oh, you ran out of like, I don't know, fucking anything in this life. You want a TV, epicenter. Okay, you want, I don't even know, but like epicenter for everything, But that's the thing. They're far away. Anyways, so when you need a short walk, exactly. Why not start the same sort of store in Ukraine? It takes a lot of money to open like a chain. And I mean, like, I'm not saying you can open a single store and jam pack it with like stuff, but it's still not going to be convenient because it's not going to be like close enough, right? It's like in the US, we have Walgreens, Duane Reade, Walmart, Kmart, right? Like we have all of these random stores, and there's so many of them. We have like tons of Sephora's, tons of Starbucks. They're like on every corner. Ukraine is different. We don't have like those massive chains. So can you get gas at Epicenter? Yes, you freaking can. There is always a gas station either right there or right near it. So yes, you can. And if you want to buy like, a jug of gas, you can definitely buy it inside of Epicenter. Yep. Epicenter sounds so fun though. Oh, it's a great place. It's usually like 3 stories or 2 stories. It's massive. Like it's huge. It's much better than Home Depot too. Take me to Epicenter. You can come to Ukraine and go to one. They're great, honestly. But anyways, there isn't Kmart anymore. Only in Australia it exists. I think out of USA completely. Oh, well, I mean, there was only one at like Astor Place in New York, and I don't think many people went there. It was a weird one. Okay, so let's get to the news. Ukraine will not survive if Putin's peace plan is implemented, said German Chancellor Olaf Scholz during a speech in the Bundestag, as quoted by Bild. Earlier, Kremlin dictator Vladimir Putin offered to end the war by having Ukraine cede 4 oblasts to Russia. According to Bild's calculation, this would mean handing over 26,000 square kilometers without a fight, an area equivalent to the territory of an entire country. Denmark, for instance. The situation is clear. Putin continues to bet on war and rearmament. No one can turn a blind eye to this. His so-called proposal for a ceasefire cannot even be called that. It requires not only a cessation of fire, but also cessation of territories that Russian troops have not yet illegally occupied. Ukraine is also expected to give up any future military aid. Ukraine will not survive this, and a strong peace will not grow out of it. Such a plan reflects watching too much Russia today. Unfortunately, Ukraine has been attacked and wants a just peace without submission and fear of new aggression, Scholz said. Yeah, that's what I've said on the live before this and on the live before that, because that's what it is. Like, the first peace plan was even more insane than this. This one is like, hey, so, we occupy Donetsk and Luhansk, and we also occupy like a part of Zaporizhia and a part of Kherson, and like a tiny little bit of Kharkiv, right? So we didn't manage to occupy the entirety of Zaporizhia and entirety of Kherson, and the capital cities being Zaporizhia and Kherson. We didn't occupy those. Some of them you deoccupied, some of them we never managed to occupy, but like we want those too. So it's like Ukraine is supposed to, for a peace plan, Ukraine is supposed to give Russia land that Russia didn't manage to occupy. And then after that, Ukraine is also supposed to say, yeah, we agree on the international arena to decline all the international help in case you invade us again. Oh, and we're also going to shrink our military. That's not a peace plan. That is the worst. Like, that is literally the worst deal where you get the most fucked over that only benefits Russia. No. After the resumption of American aid deliveries and the start of shell deliveries under the Czech initiative, the gap in artillery fire between Ukraine and the Russian Federation has been reduced by more than half, according to Ukrainian media citing a source in the General Staff of the Armed Forces of Ukraine. The gap in shots fired on the front between Ukraine and Russia has been reduced from 117 to 13, the source told RBC Ukraine. That's actually a very, very, very big development. There are some photos of Chasiv Yar, but we're going to. Okay, so here is also one of the reasons why Ukraine will never accept any of Russia's peace plans. This is Chasiv Yar, a city in Ukraine that's been shelled to the ground by Russia and completely destroyed, one of many. These are all hollowed out buildings because they've all been bombed out. There is not a single building that is intact. And these photos were published by the strike group of the 225th Separate Assault Brigade, Black Swan. Yeah, it's fucking horrifying. Also, you know why else Ukraine will never, ever, ever, ever submit to Russia's plans? I'll show you. Here. So there is a UNESCO site. It's under UNESCO protection, right? And it's a World Heritage Site in Crimea. It is Tauric Hersonesus, an ancient city. And Russia destroyed it and built an open-air cinema on its grounds. Hersonesus are ruins of an ancient city in Crimea that is protected by UNESCO. And Russia built an open-air theater on its grounds. So Russia ruined a World Heritage Site and built a fucking theater in its place. Like, can you imagine? How are no international organizations stepping in? How are no international organizations going in there and punishing that? How is no one putting their foot down? Like, this is not even about Ukraine right now. This is about protection of World Heritage Sites. It's insane that this is just happening and no one's doing jack shit about it. NATO countries are experiencing a military shortage and will not be able to send enough soldiers to the front in the event of a war with Russia. This is the opinion expressed by military analysts to the Financial Times. On paper, NATO's European allies have a total of 1.9 million troops, a sufficient number to counter Russia. However, in reality, it will be difficult for the countries of the North Atlantic Alliance to attract more than 300,000 to participate in a potential military conflict. Moreover, even to call up such a number of people, it will take months, the experts noted. The problem is especially acute in Germany, Great Britain, France, and Italy. Thus, in the German army with 181,000 troops, there is a shortage of 20,000 people. In Great Britain, the army has decreased by 19% over the past 10 years to 138,000 people. In France, the number of troops over the same period has fallen by 8% to 204,000, and in Italy by 40,000 to 160,000 people. So I'm going to counter that because the thing is, yes, there are not enough people, right? But the problem here is that Russia doesn't have sophisticated enough electronics and equipment. So it's not really going to be the same trench warfare as it is in Ukraine because NATO has phenomenal equipment. So saying that NATO couldn't take on Russia because it doesn't have enough troops to do that is a very misleading opinion. And I would say that this is a very Russia favoring narrative because NATO wouldn't have to use as many human lives as Ukraine does because one NATO soldier is equivalent to many Russian soldiers. That's one. Two, there is air support, air superiority. There are fantastic tanks, fantastic equipment, fantastic BMPs. Like, there is not even a question because right now it's drone warfare and it's like very tech forward savvy warfare. And NATO can accomplish that in no time altogether. And NATO has funds, almost unlimited funds. So thinking that that NATO would not be able to take on Russia because you're thinking of a war the same way as it happens now in the trenches is kind of silly because NATO soldiers would not have to dig trenches and have oh my gosh, what the fuck is that? This is either a bee or a massive fly. Okay. But here's the thing. NATO can 100% take on Russia because NATO is just superior in literally all the equipment and technology, and these soldiers wouldn't have to run towards artillery fire. Yulia, I'm afraid most of the rich kids in charge of politics, especially in the UK, are up to their eyeballs in Russian money laundering. You know what I find so funny? Wait a second. There is a troll on YouTube, right? And her name is Kristen Balcheva. Like, babes, you didn't even try. Your last name is Russian. Like, have you not gotten the memo? No one listens to Russians and what they freaking say about this war because nobody gives a shit what you think. You know why? Because you come from a genocidal maniac country that just wants to destroy everyone, and unfortunately you're so balls deep in your imperialism that you cannot see out of your eyes because your balls are on top of them. Your imperialistic balls. And it's really sad. Anyways, Kristen, have a really great day. I think your name is Christina, actually, and you just missed an A there. But hey, have a good life in Taganrog. I hope you love it. Anyways. So yeah, that's what I have to say. That's what I have to say here. Atakishev, the deputy director of the captured nuclear power plant appointed by the Russians, is assisting the Russian military in removing unused equipment from the station. He constantly moves around with the military and rarely appears in Enerhodar, spending most of his time in Moscow. That's a really crappy update because they're moving unused equipment that they're not using and they're not using for now. Important equipment that's at that nuclear power plant because it should be there. This man who's in charge of this nuclear power plant moves around with the military and spends most of his time in Moscow instead of spending his time monitoring that everything goes right at the nuclear power plant. I don't think I need to say anything more than that and how dangerous that is. North Korea will send military construction and engineering forces to participate in restoration works in the occupied Donetsk region starting in July this year, according to South Korean TV Chosun. Again, not big news. Also, someone asked, are North Korean troops in Ukraine already? No, they're not. First of all, there was no solid decision made that said North Korean troops are being sent to Ukraine. There are quite a few problems with doing so. To get North Korean troops to the front line, that would cost a buttload of money. a buttload of money. And I mean, not just in transportation, but like uniforms, like equipping them with everything they need, food to get them there, right? Transportation, all that stuff. So you need to figure out logistics. Difficult. North Korean troops have never seen combat. Of course, my live got taken down on TikTok. North Korean troops have never seen combat. One second. Submit. So, hate speech and hateful behaviors appeal. So, yeah, North Korean troops do not have. North Korean troops do not have for what hate speech, and I'm sure I'm not going to win this appeal because, of course, why would I? I never win these appeals because, come on. TikTok went down because I was reported by likely, the trolls that were in my live. I know my live was, you guys, what happened. Oh my God. Okay, so North Korean troops literally do not have the capacity to fight in Ukraine. And even according to Jens Stoltenberg, they would be cannon fodder. But also just getting them there would cost too much money. And then there is another factor. So you know how Kim Jong-un keeps them all in North Korea? Because they all need to be they all need to not know what the outside world looks like. They're not going to let them out into the outside world because these people are just going to freaking flee. And then they're also, if they come back, they're going to tell other people like, hey, this is what civilization looks like. We're living in a prison. He doesn't want his people out of his country. That's one. Two, North Koreans are malnourished. They're so malnourished. Like, they're not in a good shape. They're not in shape to fight a war. North Korea, literally all it has is nuclear threats because they know good and well they're not going to win any war and they can't fight because they have basic issues in their country of their people literally freaking starving. Ukrainian women can choose to sign up for the army voluntarily, and 30% of our military is women. It's one of the highest figures in the world. Poland, Lithuania, Latvia, and Estonia have called on the EU to build a defensive line along the bloc's border with Russia and Belarus to protect against military threats and other harmful actions by Moscow, according to Reuters. In a letter to the head of the European Council, these countries stated that the planning and construction of the defense line on the EU's eastern border should be carried out in coordination with NATO and its military requirements. I mean, that makes so much logical sense. I honestly don't understand why this hasn't been done yet. It would be so reasonable, right? Also, just as a reminder, if you are able to subscribe to to become a member of my YouTube channel, or subscribe to Patreon, or subscribe to Buy Me a Coffee, or like PayPal or whatever, it is really helpful, and I really do appreciate that so much because that's what does help me pay my bills and bring you this content daily and all the time and make it better. So if you have the ability to do that, I super appreciate it. And also, we do have a fundraiser running. The fundraiser is for my classmate. His name is Mikhailo. He's at the front line in Donetsk. He's not just a classmate, he's a very close friend. We went to a school where every class had 16 people in it. And I know him since first grade. His girlfriend Yulia is going to be here tomorrow. She's one of my closest friends, lifetime closest friends. And he was mobilized I don't know, half a year ago, I think in December or in January, actually. I was with Yulia the night that it happened, and he sent me a whole list of things that they need because he is at like the zero line of fire, and he does electronic warfare and assaults. And it's a generator, an EcoFlow, like a laptop, and a tablet, and also this electronic warfare device that intercepts video from Russian FPV drones, so they can see what Russians are seeing. And we so far have $752.68 out of $4,700 that all of these items together cost. We are going item by item, and the first one is EcoFlow at $14.80, I believe. It's 14 something. I said it in the previous live, and I would do it again. I just really don't want to open the list because it's going to trip me over from where I was. But there is the list posted in the community tab if you want to check it out and see each item and the price of each item, because he sent me a PowerPoint, like an Excel sheet with links to each item and their prices and stuff like that. If you would like to contribute to the fundraiser, you can do so through PayPal on the screen, or Venmo on the screen, or Revolut, which is the same as my Venmo. Okay. NATO members are currently discussing Stoltenberg's idea of a 40 billion euro a year funding plan for Ukraine, though some allies remain skeptical, according to Bloomberg. Several NATO member states are wary of formalizing commitments with a specific figure and prefer to promise to continue providing support at the same level. Of course, that's an easy scapegoat. Slovakia will join the Czech initiative to supply ammunition to Ukraine, the country's president, Petr Pellegrini, announced. So you know what that shows you? A lot of the times people say but they've announced Patriots, or if they've announced this for Ukraine, or they announced this military aid package for Ukraine. Do you remember when the Czech initiative started? It was 5 months ago. It was 5 months ago that the Czech Republic started the initiative to provide Ukraine with shells and ammo. We still didn't receive all of those shells, because there's still countries joining the initiative, right? So do you see how long it takes to even fulfill all of the countries that need to join this initiative for this initiative to work and reach its goal? It takes a very long time. So when there are all of those aid announcements, they're not going to be in Ukraine until months and months and months later. We will sign 3 security agreements at once, one of which is with the European Union as a whole. For the first time, it will establish the commitment of all 27 member states to provide Ukraine with broad support despite any internal institutional changes, said President of Ukraine, Volodymyr Zelensky. This one's actually a big one because, again, it's not with a singular country. It's kind of like signing an agreement. It's as if Ukraine signed an agreement with NATO, right? Or any other alliance. It's it's an agreement. It's a security guarantee agreement with the whole of the European Union. That's a big one. Also, thank you, Scooter, and thank you, Ozzy. The Parliamentary Assembly of the Council of Europe, PACE, approved 3 resolutions related to Russia's war against Ukraine, said Maria Miezentseva, head of the Ukrainian delegation to PACE. 1. Legal aspect of Russian aggression against Ukraine. This resolution calls for the creation of a special tribunal to address crimes related to Russian aggression. PACE has previously advocated for such a tribunal. 2. Role of sanctions in countering Russia's war of aggression against Ukraine. This resolution calls for the establishment of an international compensation mechanism for war victims and emphasizes the need for continued sanctions on Russian arms manufacturers and propaganda media. It also urges the publication of lists of individuals and legal entities that violate or circumvent sanctions against Russia or assist Moscow in continuing the war. Countering the destruction of Ukrainian identity. This resolution condemns the systematic state policy of Russification carried out by the Russian Federation since 2014 in the temporarily occupied territories of Ukraine. It highlights the denial of Ukrainian cultural identity, language, literature, and history by the Russian Federation. Basically, this is kind of countering the destruction of Ukrainian identity. This resolution condemns the systematic state policy of Russification. So it's a resolution against genocide. Why can't you say it that way? Why can't you just name things the way they are? Because you're describing a genocide. Huh? NATO Secretary General Jens Stoltenberg believes that Russian troops are not capable of significant breakthroughs on the battlefield in Ukraine, while Kyiv is inflicting significant damage with strikes deep into Russian territory. I mean, that's true. Like the playing field did even out significantly in the last couple of months. The key topics of our meeting with the Prime Minister of the Czech Republic, Petr Fiala, are shells, the movements towards the EU and NATO, said President of Ukraine Volodymyr Zelensky. So he was in Czech Republic the other day. I noted the importance of the Czech Republic's initiative to purchase the necessary artillery shells for Ukraine. They are already strengthening our soldiers on the battlefield. We discussed preparations for concluding a bilateral security agreement, as well as the results of the inaugural peace summit, Zelensky said. And we are getting to the thumbnail, which is Israel is considering providing Ukraine with Patriots. The US, Israel, and Ukraine are negotiating the transfer of up to 8 Patriot Air Defense systems to Kyiv, according to the Financial Times. Sources indicate that these systems could be transferred from Israel to the US and then delivered to Ukraine. Until now, Israel has officially declared that it will not provide military aid to Ukraine. However, Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu last year did not rule out the possibility of transferring the Iron Dome air defense to Kyiv. So, because Patriots are American, not Israeli, the US has a lot more say into whether Israel provides them to Ukraine or not. It's kind of like the situation with Switzerland, where it's kind of like similar as the situation with Switzerland, where they don't want to directly provide aid, but they will return those systems back to their original manufacturers or to the countries that manufactured them, and then those can do with them what they please. Why waste time by sending them all the way back to the United States first? Because they want to show Russia, because in Israel there are lots of Russians. Lots of Russians, okay? And Israel has quite close partnerships with Russia, or at least it had until Russia kind of like went with Hamas instead of Israel. In that, in that situation, I'm not going to, like, this isn't, and like, I know what I just said. This is not going to turn into a discussion of who's right and who's wrong. What I'm trying to say is that Hamas is allied with Russia and Russia is allied with Hamas. So in the situation of Israel, Israel was betrayed by Russia, right? We're not talking about who's right, who's wrong, what's happening. This is not the thing. I just really want to make that known. I'm just saying that Israel has a huge relationship with Russia, like an uncannily like super strong relationship with Russia, except for, now, because Israel is not as convenient for Russia anymore, because Russia is now playing its own little game of what's better for it, right? So Israel still, because they don't want to mess things up with Russia and they don't want to make it worse for themselves, they're not going to give Ukraine military aid because first of all, they did give Ukraine some humanitarian aid and some aid because they have to, because of the US. Okay? Had it been up to Israel, Ukraine would not be receiving anything. I mean, anything. Because really, Israel's relationship with Russia is super strong. Like, a ton of Russians are dual citizens with Israel, and most Russian elites fled to Israel when the war started. Like, there are so many Russian celebrities living in Israel right now. That's just always been the relationship. So Israeli economy and a lot of stuff depends on Russia and just rich Russians living there. So, of course, they're not going to be giving lethal weapons to Ukraine. But Patriots are American systems. And so the US can be like, we want to send those to Ukraine and you have to do that. So in order to avoid sending those to Ukraine directly, what Israel can say is that they can send those back to the US and the US can do with them what they want. That way, Israel avoids responsibility for sending those to Ukraine. They're basically like, no, we didn't send anything. We just send it back and they can do with them what they want. That's why. President Zelensky outlined 5 key components to increase pressure on Russia during the meeting with EU leaders. 1. Military support. Zelensky emphasized the need for artillery shells and financing of military supplies, urging EU leaders to ensure all promises of support are kept. 2. Air defense and long-range capabilities. He called for strengthening Ukraine's air defense systems and enabling the country to target deep into Russian territory. 3. Confiscation of Russian assets. Zelensky advocated for finding effective ways to confiscate Russian assets in the West and called for the maintenance and strengthening of sanctions against Russian oligarchs. 4. Energy network protection and restoration. He requested EU assistance in protecting and restoring Ukraine's energy infrastructure. 5. Diplomatic pressure. Zelensky urged for increased diplomatic pressure on Russia through peace formula and the development of a comprehensive plan for its implementation. These components aim to weaken Russia's efforts and support Ukraine's defense and recovery. NATO Secretary General Jens Stoltenberg and President Volodymyr Zelensky discussed the preparation for the upcoming NATO summit in July during their meeting at NATO headquarters. Stoltenberg expressed his expectations that the allies would agree on the alliance taking the lead in coordinating Western military aid to Ukraine. Additionally, he proposed a long-term financial pledge to provide Ukraine with more predictability in the aid it receives, aiming to enhance the country's defense capabilities and ensure sustained support. Germany plans to continue and increase the training of Ukrainian soldiers in 2025. As stated by Andreas Marlow, the head of the EU command. He noted that starting next year, more Ukrainian army recruits can undergo basic training in Germany. Marlow mentioned that they have received additional training requests as Ukraine continues to mobilize, emphasizing the importance of basic training, which is primarily conducted by Great Britain. And for the Czech Shell Initiative that we were just talking about earlier, Ukraine has received, out of 200,000 plus shells, Ukraine has received 50,000 units of ammunition as part of the Czech initiative, according to iRozhlas. This delivery is part of the 180,000 units financed by Germany, as reported by the Czech Ministry of Defense. The total supply of 500,000 projectiles is financially secured and is expected to be delivered in monthly tranches of several tens of thousands each until the end of the year. But see, people were like, oh my gosh, Ukraine is getting 200,000 shells, next week. No, we're getting it in doses. And not every country has signed up yet. Like, they've been secured, but not all of them have been manufactured. Not all of them have been sourced. It's a whole thing. 18 countries have joined the Czech initiative, with 15 pledging financial support. Besides the Czech Republic and Germany, these countries include Belgium, Denmark, Iceland, Canada, Latvia, Lithuania, Luxembourg, the Netherlands, Norway, Portugal, and Slovenia. Some countries have chosen to provide funding anonymously. So there is that. Also, that is all news I have for you for today. Also, for those assholes that showed up in the beginning of the live and were like, why don't you just call it random chat live, like when you're rambling about whatever. So I've been live for an hour and 3 minutes and 29 seconds. I remember vividly that it was 23 minutes when I started talking about the news in depth. And I was talking about Ukrainian, kind of like what it was like being a Ukrainian in the US. So Ukraine related before that, right? So, 20 minutes for personal stuff and 43 minutes for the news. I don't know. Doesn't sound like a live about random shit to me. Anyways, F-16 news. And also Rick does this on his lives, and I feel like, and I know I've said this before, and people are like, you're just saying misogyny because you like the word. No, it's just because, when men do lives about news about Ukraine, they don't get questioned about random stuff they talk about, because people just assume that it's okay. If I ramble about my day or random things that happened because I like you guys and I kind of talking to you, and it's, it feels more natural and nicer when there's sort of a conversation, not just me staring into the camera and reciting things like a parrot. I like to at least feel like we have a dialogue. I get questioned on this. because, oh, it's just like some girl sitting here rambling about like whatever the fuck her dog. But like if it's Rick, or if it's any guy, like if it's Operator Starsky, or if it's like really any guy, right? Most people don't do that. They don't walk in and say like, you're rambling about your cat. Like, what? Because, because he's a guy, so clearly he knows what he's talking about. It's fine for him to talk about his cat because he's going to get to like, the tanks and like the armor and all that stuff soon, because he's a guy. Of course, he knows what he's talking about in terms of war. But this girl, of course, she's going to ramble about personal shit, and then she's going to like deliver some basic baseline news that she can't even really explain because she's a girl. And that's genuinely the logic, subconscious logic of people who say that kind of crap. Okay. Thank you, Niels. That's very, very, very sweet of you. It's 2:22. 2:23 now, Okiroshi. Okay, so someone, Pietro, I think, asked about F-16s. Here's the thing. I can't. Okay, so I can't really, because if I say what I know, I'm going to say too much. And I don't want to do that. But if I, here's the thing. There's a lot of OPSEC going around it, and I think it's better to keep it that way. There are updates on F-16s, but unfortunately, I don't think I or anyone else should be sharing them. And if they are either reckless or looking for, like, I don't know, either reckless, looking for views, or genuinely do not understand that some things are OPSEC and they should not be talked about. So this type of thing, OPSEC. When it's time, we'll talk about F-16s. Also, Armin's quote of the day is up, and I'm going to read it to you. Ares, or Ares, god of war, hates those who hesitate. Euripides of Salamis. If European leaders want to be good leaders, they must make quick decisions and take quick action. Yeah. Also, for those of you who don't know who Armin is a self-assigned quote guy, and also I agree with that assignment. I agree with that assessment. Self-proclaimed, rather, and I agree with that proclamation, assessment, and assignment, because Armin literally knows so many quotes, and all of his quotes are always very relevant. Every time that he watches a live, which is usually almost every live, he posts a quote in the chat, and I think that a lot of you guys share my passion for Armin's quotes because they're always very on point. They're very educational, and I think they're great. I think it's a great, it's also like a great little, like tradition to have, which is, reading Armin's quotes of the day. Also, Armin is Armenian, and I had some conversations with him about Armenia, and I think he's generally very, like a very, very interesting person who knows a lot and is very politically apt, and I really appreciate him. So there's that. I don't know, if you didn't know a lot about Armenia, next time you can probably ask Armin in the chat, and he'll probably be able to enlighten you a little bit. Check with the US State Department for updates on F-16s. Yeah, but those are like, people want the juice. Armin is the quote goat. Yes, Armin is. Oh my God, that's so funny. Also, hi, Nick. And you guys, I'm going to go to sleep. Good luck watching the Biden-Trump debate in an hour and a half. I'm going to be watching the highlights tomorrow because I just cannot handle listening to Trump for that long. And also, I know it's going to be a shit show. It's kind of like watching... it's kind of like watching a corpse debate, like one of those trolls in the basement from Harry Potter, you know, that type of thing. And I mean, like, hey, Biden is the better option than Trump, like by so many miles. But at the same time, like, why is this the geriatrics Olympics? I don't have a problem listening to Biden. Like, I don't. Like, he's a reasonable speaker, but also like he's just so, and he's always been like that. Like, I mean, he's been so slow. He's very slow in how he speaks. He's like an old school politician. And also, like, I mean, it's just so much water, right? Like, none of them are actually saying anything that's like real. And I mean, Trump is just a shit show. I hate listening to that guy. Like, I can't. It's so bad. It's so irritating. But like, Biden is just like, you know, I mean, I don't hate listening to him. I don't love listening to him. It's just like, meh. I mean, it's not like I'm looking forward to listening to Biden, you know? But also, oh my gosh, I don't know. Okay, before I go, I have to show you this. This came up on my TikTok the other day, and I thought, oh, of course, my appeal was not approved. Just FYI. Of course, it was not approved. Oh my gosh. Okay, so I saw this video and I thought it was brilliant. It was a debate in Colorado, and it was moderated by this guy, and I think he's brilliant. I don't know if you've seen this, but if you haven't, you should. And I wish this dude moderated tonight's debate. Okay.
In Colorado's 3rd district, we did have a very close election, but we also had 50,000 Republicans not show up to vote.
So just to be clear, Ms. Boebert, you blame Republican voters for the fact that you nearly lost a safe seat and not your own conduct. Ms. Boebert, you're running an ad right now that says deport them all. Describe in detail how you see mass deportation playing out in the cities and towns of the 4th Congressional District.
First of all, having over 10 million illegal aliens coming into our country in under 4 years, this is unprecedented.
I'll note that you didn't make any attempt to answer the actual question, which is who should be doing this? You introduced articles of impeachment against the president for his handling of the border. That move was blocked by Republican House leadership.
Pardon me, please. It was sent to committee. It was not blocked.
It was blocked by sending it to committee, so you didn't get the full House vote that you wanted.
No, I did get a full House vote, and it was
sent to committee. This is going to be a long evening if you speak over the facts, okay?
Right.
So a question for everybody up here. A question on this for Mr. Sonnenberg. You have also called for mass deportations, and let's talk about that economic impact.
Absolutely. I would use the police. I would use the National Guard. Those people aren't the ones working. Those people are the ones causing the crime to go up in Denver and the area around. Imagine, if you will.
Do you have any evidence to support that? Because law enforcement has not put that forward. I'm just curious where you're getting that causation. How would that work if the National Guard or the military were to come into Douglas County where you live and start rounding people up?
I think that it is time that we take it very seriously for what it is.
Would you like to answer the question?
I will, because I do.
Ask somebody. It's Mr. Holtorf, you've been interrupting people constantly. I would ask you to stop. Ms. Flora, could you please answer the question?
Yes.
Bringing an out-of-state National Guardsman or the U.S. military in Douglas County, do you feel like that would work?
And we also, by the way, have to stop the president of the United States from suing border states who are doing their own work.
The question was about the actual work of rounding people up in Douglas County. We took a couple tries at that. Ms. Boebert, this session of Congress is on track to be one of the least productive in history in terms of the bills passed. Your Republican House colleague, Andy Biggs, said, we have nothing to go out there and campaign on. Another House Republican, Chip Roy, said the Republican majority does not have one material, meaningful, significant accomplishment. That's what the Republicans are saying. I would give you one more opportunity if you would like to answer his question, which is the number of bills you've prime sponsored that have been signed by the president.
So my Pueblo Jobs Act has been signed into law.
A number, please.
That is one.
Got it. Ms. Flora, you've called on all parents to pull their children out of public elementary and middle schools. And last week, the Colorado Republican Party told parents to pull their children out of all public schools. If parents were to take your advice seriously and pull all the kids out of public schools, what would America without a public education system look like?
That's a great
The
question.
situation, Kyle, is I'm very proud of the work that I've been doing on school choice.
Okay. I was hopeful for an answer about what would happen if folks followed your advice and pulled all the kids out of public schools, but we'll leave that for another conversation. You resigned your position as House Minority Leader after your drunk driving arrest surfaced this year. And my question is not about what you did while drunk, which for anybody who missed it was speeding up I-25 at 90 miles per hour so fast a trooper thought that you were trying to race him. Then you reached for your gun during the traffic stop. You asked the trooper to call the state patrol's lobbyist. Then you asked him to keep the arrest out of the media. My question to you is about what you did while sober. You did not disclose your drunk driving arrest to your Republican colleagues when they were considering you for leader and electing you.
No.
What does that tell voters about your judgment?
Well, thank you, Kyle, for that. I'm should not have done it.
Was it a mistake not to tell your colleagues when they were considering you for leader, knowing that you had something so big and embarrassing in your recent past?
Yeah,
You told a State House colleague who had lost his son in the Aurora Theater shooting that he needed to let go of his son's murder. You called a legislator of color buckwheat during a floor debate. You suggested that people with disabilities are like people who took the risk of running with the bulls in Pamplona. And you suggested that Miss Boebert dresses like a prostitute. Do you regret saying any of those things? And why do you talk to people like that?
Oh, see, it's that last statement, right? Damn.
This is my 10th time watching it, and I still watch it like on one breath. This is perfection. I absolutely love that guy. Why is he not moderating presidential debate? He's fantastic. He's fantastic. He's just so good. I love him. Can we please have him just talk to all the Republicans and all the politicians ever? This man's amazing. He does not take any shit. Lovely. He does not let them bullshit at all. Also, you guys, so my TikTok live has been discontinued for hate speech against that one Russian troll. And I'm not going to be able to go live until, let me see, until July 5th, 2:02 a.m. So on TikTok, I'll see you on July 5th. So right after 4th of July, when you're nice and hungover for me, when you're going to be dying in beds and dying to watch 2 hours of Yewleea, because what better can you be doing being hungover? Okay. Anyways, on TikTok, on YouTube, I will be here. There is still the fundraiser going on for Mikhailo, so please, 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 if you can contribute, please do so. And don't you have 2 other backup accounts? Yeah, but it's they don't necessarily. Oh, okay, maybe. Fine. Okay. You guys, I'm gonna go to sleep. 2:35, and I have to pretend to be Anastasia. I'll have to pretend to be Anastasia and cry on the phone to get her a free ticket change. Okay, at 9 a.m. I have to do that. So I'm gonna be doing that, and then I shall see you later. Love you guys. Good night.